Hi Libra, welcome to your week ahead horoscope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Libra, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they speak to you. With that said, if you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. And if you are new to the channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. So for your key to the week, before we start, actually, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So your key to the week is the moon card. In a lot of ways, I usually see this as people being either very, very reflective, and in a lot of ways I see this as people really delving into the past in some way, shape or form. It can sometimes be a very confusing energy, and so this week is a week where you really do need to figure out or separate the wheat from the chaff, as the saying goes. What you're being asked to really look at here is how you actually feel about a situation versus what the situation actually is. So this is a week where you really need to take the rose tinted glasses off and look at things exactly as they are. For your actions and options this week, you have the 5 of Swords. So in a lot of ways, I would say no matter what you're feeling, this is not necessarily the week to have a big conversation. The reason I say this is because the 5 of Swords suggests that you are kind of on the warpath, and it kind of feels as, especially because you've got the moon card, maybe you're not necessarily seeing the situation as objectively as you like to believe you are. You know, not necessarily a bad thing, we've all been there, but it does suggest to me that if you try to have the talk or the big conversation this week, it may end up getting blown out of proportion, and as such I don't think you'll walk away from it feeling as you'd like to feel. Sometimes a win just, you know, is not necessarily a win because of the way that it makes us feel. For your communications and conversations, you have the 6 of Wands. So this is really nice, okay? So it suggests that the rough edges of communication may be smoothed off. And, you know, again, look at this, right? So you've got the 6 of Wands that follows the 5 of Swords. So what is that? That's literally the completion of a challenge or an argument of some sort that settles in your favor. But the 5 of Swords is always a win that leaves a bitter taste in the mouth. So just be aware of that this week, because it might take you further. It might take you further down a path of not acting like yourself than you're prepared to go, you know, and then when you look back, you're like, oh crap, I've already taken that decision now. So when it comes to those of you that work for somebody else, in a way, this could, it kind of feels like maybe you're getting a backward compliment or a backhanded compliment, as they say. You know, when someone says something to you and you're like, okay, thanks, I think. Just, again, you know, because of where maybe you're at and maybe you're thinking and feeling a bit more sensitive than usual, just be sure that whatever it is that's said to you this week, that you're actually listening to what someone's saying rather than what you think you're hearing, if that makes sense. It just seems like a bit of a wishy-washy week in that regard. Now, for those of you that are work for yourselves, business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, one of the big things that comes up for you with this card is this is you finally getting ahead with something, but it looks like it's taken so long that on the other side of it, you're like, oh, you know what? It just, now it doesn't even feel like I can enjoy it. It's like this should have happened weeks ago or months ago. A good example of this would be if it's a win, it's a win. So just take it, right? Just enjoy it. For your money and materials, you have the Ace of Wands. Okay, this is really nice actually. So when it comes to your money and your finances, this literally talks to your ability to create more money, and this is very likely to be something that you are either taking action on. Now, for some of you, this could be through a literary work. For some of you, this could be an idea that you're finally putting into motion. And again, you know, there's just a sense here of like apprehension, which is really interesting because you've got that 5 of Swords and the Moon card. But these are really great cards. I mean, finances and money, it's like you're definitely moving into a new era of making money. But there's a almost like a thought of, wow, you know, I'm not sure how it's going to go. Try to stay and remain positive with it. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, this actually looks good. It looks like you've got a lot of energy this week. One thing I will caution against though is, because you have so much energy, maybe do something like go for a workout, go for a run, go for a walk, do something to burn off the excess energy. And the reason I say that is because this week that could be where it's coming in, right? Maybe you have too much energy and so it's spilling off into your thoughts. For your home and environment, if you are thinking about redecorating, if you're thinking about painting, if you're thinking about doing something different with the home, this would be a really good week to do so. I mean, especially with the Ace of Wands, because it is naturally very creative. With the Moon card there though, the only thing that I will say to you is maybe try to get a second opinion, because what you're feeling this week, especially if you're going to do this off the bat, and you know, spontaneously, you know, maybe you wake up and say, right, I'm going to redecorate the whole house. Just because the Moon card is there, you could go ahead with, you know, maybe a color scheme or an aesthetic that feels right at the time, and then you look back and say, oh gosh, you know, what was I thinking? This doesn't actually suit me. It doesn't work for me. So just be aware. All right. And then for your love sector, you have the Five of Pentacles. So you've got two fives here. First thing that I want to say to you is, remember with the number 5, this is 2 5s is about vigils, which always tells me that what you're focusing on, what you're putting your energy and your thoughts and your credence into, like what you're giving credence to, these are the things that are growing at the moment. It kind of, the way that I see it, when 2 5s come up, it's basically saying to you, pay attention to what you're thinking, because you're creating more of that experience. Now, if there are challenges in communication, if there is something that you're finding maybe hard to let go, you need to ask yourself, what purpose does this serve at this moment in time? How is this either hindering me or holding me back? How is it supporting me? How is it working? You know, how is it helping me get ahead, or how is it holding me back in some way, shape or form? This is something that really needs to be observed this week. So for those of you that are in partnerships or in relationships, for those of you that are single, it look well, and it's funny as well, because I kind of feel like if there's a relationship coming to an end this week, it's because you feel that there are irreconcilable differences. And the funny thing is, I don't necessarily feel like that is the case for the long term. It kind of feels like it's a here and now thing. And because maybe you're in a little bit of a funk at the moment, you're seeing it as bigger or broader than it actually is, which suggests that you need to look beyond that. All right, you need to think more along the lines of, okay, this is how I feel at the moment. It's like sometimes, you know, when you take a step back from things and then you look at them later on, they're actually quite different. Do you know what I mean? It's like one of those, you know, when you've got a problem that you can't solve and then you take a moment away from it, and when you come back, you've got the answer. This would be one of those weeks. So think about taking some time rather than, you know, ending something for the sake of it. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I will see you soon.